Thank you for joining us for All Things MSP Live. My name is Eric Anthony. I'll be your host tonight, and we really do appreciate you spending some time with us. Now, you may be asking, what is All Things MSP? We are a community, first and foremost, of MSPs and people around the MSP industry, vendors, subject matter experts, all that kind of stuff. And we're talking about the non-technical side of being an MSP. Now, most of our activity happens in our Facebook group. That's the platform that we've been on the longest. You can join us there at facebook.com/groups/all things MSP. There's about 6,000 members in the group, and somebody is there waiting to talk to you. And we also, if you don't do Facebook, we have a LinkedIn company page. So you can go to linkedin.com/company/all things MSP. Now, last but not least, we also have a YouTube channel. So you can head on over there. This is where you can probably get the best experience watching the live stream because it allows us to interact better through the comments there. But also, we publish a weekly podcast there as well, in addition to publishing it to all of your favorite podcast platforms. But we also post other pieces of content as well. So make sure you go there, you like, you subscribe, you do all the things to make sure you get notified so that you'll know when we post new podcasts, as well as we're doing a new live stream. Now, the live stream is typically every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We try not to miss it, but sometimes life happens. Okay, we got about 19 seconds left before we start the show. We'll see you there. The views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of its participants and do not reflect the views and opinions of any employer, MSP, sponsor, advertiser, or vendor. Welcome back, everybody, to All Things MSP Live. It's great to see you this evening. Really do think we're going to have a great show tonight because I have a guest on that we're going to talk about a new product that he's got. He's had it out for a little while, and I think it's a great product for MSPs to really keep track of something that they probably don't keep well enough track of, but I'll let him talk about that. But also, this is a person who has kind of been in this space a long time with me, and so we're going to talk about some nostalgic stuff tonight as well. So it's going to be an interesting show tonight. But before we get started, of course, we do have to thank our sponsors. And our first sponsor tonight is Helped. And, they are really coming out with some really cool stuff in terms of how they're approaching help desk and how they can help the MSP be able to augment their help desk with people who are really incentivized to help as much as they can. There's so many things that Helped does differently than your standard outsourced help desk provider. They integrate so much closer and really care more about the experience of your customer than just getting tickets processed, right? So definitely, if you are looking for somebody to help you with, all of that ticket work and depends on the level of tickets, right? They have different levels of service depending on what you need. And, so definitely check them out. They're a great source for getting some of that help desk work off of your high-priced engineers and into the hands of people who can get it done and get it done well for you and make sure that your clients are happy doing it. You can go ahead and check them out at atmsp.link/helped. All right. And then next we have another premier sponsor. And by the way, these are both new sponsors. So we really do appreciate their engagement here at All Things MSP. But our next sponsor is Nodeware. And in terms of vulnerability management, these guys really have it, nailed down. Traditional vulnerability management is outdated, disruptive, and costly. Nodeware offers MSPs a better solution, continuous 24/7 vulnerability scanning, even during business hours with no network impact. And that's kind of the big key here is they're doing it in the background, but they're doing it in a way that makes it much easier on the business and less impact on your clients. You can deploy it remotely via software agents and sensors, eliminating the need for extra hardware and on-site visits, saving you time and money. The multi-tenant dashboard with built-in remediation guidance and patch management makes it easy to identify, manage, and remediate those vulnerabilities quickly, helping you better protect your clients. You can go ahead and visit atmsp.link/nodeware to learn more. All right. So thanks for our sponsors, because we really do appreciate them. And speaking of not sponsors, but things that we like to support, and that is ChannelCon by GTIA. So this is an event. It's held in July. It's in Nashville this year, which is one of my absolute favorite places to go for an event. I don't know why. It probably has something to do with the music. But if you're not familiar with GTIA, it is the former CompTIA. This is still the Trade Industry Association, the community side of CompTIA. And actually, we have a podcast coming out very shortly, except I had a hard drive fail on me today. But it should still come out, I'm guessing Friday at this point. We'll have that podcast out, and that features MJ Shore, and he's the Chief Community Officer for GTIA. And he talks about all the changes, and we talk a little bit about ChannelCon, so looking forward to that. If you have a chance to go to ChannelCon, I definitely recommend it. All right, and if you are a vendor in the space and you are looking for a way to get your message out to the MSP audience, you can go ahead and check out our 2025 sponsorship prospectus. Just go ahead and hit me up, Eric at allthingsmsp.com, and I will send that right out to you. And of course, you know, any Wednesday night would not be complete without Marvin B's IT Business Podcast live stream. That comes on every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Tonight, he has Lynn Thames on. She is an MSP, great lady. I've talked to her in the past, and definitely somebody that has a lot of experience in this industry as an MSP. All right, so that is it for my my pre-show. So let's go ahead and bring up Mr. Brad Gross.
Hey, everyone. Good to see you, Eric.
You,
good. I saw that you were mentioning Marvin B's podcast, which is a great podcast, and I will gladly pull out my award that I once won back in 2022 for having the best podcast episode on Marvin's podcast. Yeah, that sits proudly on my desk right there.
That is a book out of Marv's playbook I probably ought to take, and that is awarding an award to the best podcast of the year.
Yes, and in fact, I readily I readily admit that the last time I was on was a few months ago, this year. So I guess it was January, maybe February, and I held up a signed vote for Brad 2025. So I don't know if that's going to work at all, but yeah, I absolutely threw that in there. So we'll see. We'll see if I have another mug. Okay, if there's another mug, you know, my PR worked.
We all need more mugs, right?
We all need more Marv mugs, is what I'm saying. Yes.
I found myself mugless. I was out camping this past weekend and went to go make my coffee, and I had no mug.
So what did you do?
I double stacked the red Solo cup.
Oh, okay. That works, I guess.
It did the job, and it didn't melt. So
when you're roughing it like you did, you have to, MacGyver certain things. And
exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I said, kind of in the pre-show, you and I have kind of been in this industry for a while, and we go back to the yonder years of when computers first started showing up in homes. And you have one back there in your background, which is a very early on one. Which one is that?
So, by the way, that is not a fake background. That is a real TRS-80 Model 1, Level 2, 16K in the entire machine. The entire machine has 16K RAM, and it came out before floppy drives. So it actually uses a tape drive, little tape recorder hidden behind the book here. It actually used cassette tapes. That's what you stored your data on, cassette tapes. But the whole computer could only hold 16K RAM. So, there's not a lot of stuff that you could download to it. And the interesting part is that even though it was only 16K, to download 16K, or I should say upload it into the computer, probably took about 6 to 7 minutes just
Yeah.
for 16K on the tape. But it's what we grew up on, right?
Yeah. Now, do you still have the original tape player, the drive that came with
Yeah.
it? The
Oh yeah,
black
that's the
red
original
report?
cassette. Oh yeah, the original TRS-80 yeah, the original
Okay.
tape drive is here. Get rid of that. Yeah, here it is. And it works. Everything is in working order. I don't know why anyone would want to look at it, but if anyone wants to learn how to use it, I still have the original user manual here with grayed pages. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is that this computer was in my basement and never moved from my basement. And what I noticed is that when I was looking through this instruction manual a couple of weeks ago, I see my dad put his name in it. He actually wrote his name in it as if someone's going to come into the house and borrow his instruction manual. I don't, whatever. We're going back 45 years ago, so who knows? Anyway.
Yeah. So
so that's where I started.
I had a very similar setup for my first computer. In fact, bought it at the same store, but I had the TRS-80 color computer, the one that you actually hooked up to your TV.
Oh, you were past me. Mm-hmm. Right. This is
that had 4K.
Mm-hmm.
4K and the cassette tape drive is exactly where I started. I added the floppy drive later.
Right.
You can't see it because it's too small in the picture, but right on this shelf right here, I actually have the cartridge because it was tape driven as well as cartridge driven, like an Atari, right? Where you could plug a program cartridge into the side.
Yeah, into the Z80 chips. Yeah.
And
how do you like that?
And that one is the assembly language cartridge for those who wanted to brave writing assembly language programs for a 4K computer. And I was nerdy enough as a kid that I did.
I did it too. I did it too. I had the compiler. I started programming in BASIC and then assembly language. Yeah, that's where we all started. And it's interesting because I had, though no one knows where it went, at one time I got the 300 baud modem for the computer. This is much later on. And I try to describe to my kids how when you went to a BBS, which was the predecessor to a website, right? You would download, it was only text. And if you had to make a picture, they made it out of X's, like they drew it with X's and so on. And it would just be one line at a time across the screen, just like this. And if you wanted to see a page of text, you're going to sit there for 2 or 3 minutes before it, one line at a time just went. It is incomprehensible to kids these days about, the speed or lack of speed that we had back then. But it's how we all started.
Yeah. So speaking of, what was the speed of your first modem?
300 baud.
Okay. Yep. 300, 150
and
switchable.
I so admired my friends who had the 1200 baud modem. Oh, that was, wow.
Yeah.
They could download text 3 times as fast, 4 times as fast. So yeah.
And
what
then
was yours?
Once we graduated from BBSs, what was your first actual internet provider?
Oh, AOL. Well, no, maybe it was CompuServe. Maybe CompuServe. I don't remember. I know a lot of people don't even remember CompuServe. It may have been CompuServe, but I'm not sure. AOL, CompuServe, they ran neck and neck. But remember, AOL used to give out the free discs.
Oh yeah.
Every magazine you bought had the free installation disc. Oh goodness. Yep.
So before CompuServe and before AOL, at least were popular in my area of South Florida.
Yeah.
You could get Genie, which was the General Electric Network for Information Exchange.
Ooh, sounds very sophisticated.
You were back then, very few things were www. A lot of them were still like Gopher.
Right.
And FTP.
Right. Gopher. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah, we go back. And that's just to explain to my kids what a phonograph, right? A vinyl phonograph and how that worked. That blows their minds. So this is something that they just simply can't comprehend. It's it's something that they look at and nod at and say, okay, that's cool. Anyway, and they move on.
That's okay.
But that's our history. That's our history.
And
Never
and
forget
it's
your
a fun
history.
history, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. It was great. It
Yeah.
was great. Yeah.
The kids today will never understand.
Nope. That's okay. Their kids won't understand the things they're doing now. So
That's true.
you know,
That's true.
you know.
So that's not the topic we promised people tonight.
Hmm.
That was just the bonus information that they got, the
Right.
trip down memory lane.
Right.
So what we really want to talk about tonight is MSP terms, because I really
Mhm.
do think that, I mean, let's face it, most MSPs are bad at business.
Yeah.
And so MSP terms, in my mind, really does fill a need for collecting and maintaining the documents that are critical to their organization. So why don't you give me, before we go ahead and dive into the demo, because we are going to do that
Sure.
tonight,
Mhm.
go ahead and kind of give me the background of what you saw and why you decided to create it.
So we create, as a lawyer, I create agreements and documents for MSPs all the time. And while they have wonderful agreements and they cover the realities and the legal aspects that they need to cover, what I found over the years was that MSPs had an issue with implementation. How do we implement this document that that you've given it to us, Brad, right? How do we do it? Do we post it? Do we have people sign it? If we do post it, what if we want to change it, right? Do we then take that down and post another document in its place? Do we post several documents? And along those lines, how do we keep it private so that other people don't steal, borrow, shall we say, our documents? And how do we track what's going on with these documents? So all of these questions, all related to implementation, and they're specific to MSPs. So at some point, I turned around about a year and a half ago, and I thought it's time to tackle this problem. And that was when I started having developers jump in, and that culminated in the platform that you're about to see. There's also another aspect to it, not just document management, but there's a business strategy aspect to it, which I'm going to show you as well. MSPs need advice. They need guidance. And there's a lot of guidance that I would like to convey to MSPs. Basic stuff, foundational stuff, right? What happens when a customer declines a service? How do you negotiate the fact that you're offering third-party services? You're not providing them yourself. It's a third party, right? Bringing them in. How do we negotiate that aspect of a contract? These types of educational components were unavailable to MSPs, or at least largely unavailable. So we're going to tackle that through this platform. So not only do we have the document management aspect, but we have the educational component as well. And as you'll see, we also offer a library of Brad Gross curated documents. So MSPs can take them license-free. Once you're a subscriber, they are license-free in perpetuity. Take them and use them. So that's what we were aiming to accomplish. And I think we did it. I think we did it through the MSPTerms platform.
Well, and I think this is one of those things where MSPs have traditionally wanted to kind of do things on their own, do things by themselves. And
Right.
I think this gives them the ability to do that in a much safer way than just downloading anything from the internet or asking ChatGPT to create something.
Right. And I appreciate that insight. It also allows them to post any type of document. And if they need to change, let's say they have a master agreement posted on their site, if they want to change it, they can't. They shouldn't just be pulling that document down, changing it, and putting something up in its place, because you can't just unilaterally change documents with your customers. But what should you do? Well, there should be, and now there is a way to post versions and direct your customers to whichever version you want them to see without removing the old. And one of the things, the concepts of this platform, again, that we were aiming to hit, and I think we did, was on the flip side, customers of MSPs were and continue to be hesitant to accept electronic documents because they say, how do I know you didn't change the document on me? How do I know that this document is the one that was up there a year ago? Also, the link that you had given to me, it didn't work. So I didn't even see your document. Customers want document integrity. They want document immutability. So
Yep.
we actually offer that. On the flip side, we offer that to customers as well, not just the MSP, but to their customers. They get immutability and integrity.
Well, and that raises the experience for the client of the MSP, which in the end is better for the MSP.
Of course, this
And
is a way that you can tell your customers, MSP's customers, listen, we're going to create an online safe. Okay. And when you access or view or accept any document from us, it goes in that safe. Nobody touches it. You can read it, you can access it. But if we change the document, if we delete it on our end, it stays in your safe and you have 24/7 access to that. And you know it is immutable. So yeah, we're sort of accomplishing, various things on both sides of the equation, the customer and the MSP side.
yeah, and I could also see where if this comes up where there's a problem, there's a dispute between the two parties, that this adds another level of legitimacy and auditability to how everything happened, who agreed to what, who signed what, and that you just can't get with paper documents.
Agreed. And it will show you, and I'll show you how it actually tracks into IP addresses. It has document verification pages that are permanently appended once the document's accepted. So electronic signatures and so on are fully are made available and fully functional within the platform.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and pull up the demo so that we can take a look at this?
So what I'm going to do now is switch screens on you. Let me present. And I will present my screen, the entire screen, pick the right one. So now you should see on the screen MSPTerms.
Yep.
Great. Did I do it right? Did I do it
You
correctly? Did. Okay, good. Thank God. Step one is done. Got it. All right. So here's, for the purposes of this demonstration, I created a fictitious MSP, and we called it Just Excellent Managed Services, Inc. That's the fictitious MSP. Everything that you're about to see is fictitious. The customers are fictitious and so forth, but the functionality and the availability of functions through the site, that's all very real and working. So we're going to now log in as if we were Just Excellent Managed Services. And when we log in as the MSP, the first thing that the MSP will see is the dashboard. And what we're aiming for is a very clean, very easy to navigate dashboard. We're not going to make things sophisticated where you have to wonder, what do I click to do things? Very simple, very straightforward. On the dashboard, you see, quick access buttons, and you see the customer list, like any dashboard would show. But I want to cover this side, the nav bar, okay? Because that's where all the action is. So starting with the left side, we have the admin. Administration allows the MSP to add any number of administrators to the platform. So let's say you want to be the super admin, and then you have a CFO and a CIO and maybe a salesperson that you want to give access to the platform. You can grant administrative rights to those people so they can access the platform, but you as the super admin, you can delete or add them, as you may want. An interesting thing about the admin area as well is that it allows you to upload your company logo. Why would you as an MSP want to upload your company logo to the site? Hang on to that question for about 2 minutes and you'll see why. But remember, we can upload our logo and change it at any time. Customer Center is where you'll see a list of all the customers that have done anything with your documents. If they viewed them, if they've accepted them, and that's where you're going to see it. It also has all of the logging and tracking features, which you'll see in a moment. Document Locker, that's where we put documents to share with our customers. That's where we're going to put them. Library, Brad Gross curated documents. Education and service descriptions. This is that educational component that I was talking about. This is where you're going to see videos, infographics that will help MSPs on their daily weekly, month-to-month kind of issues. Service descriptions, we've done some of the heavy lifting, and we could help you describe your services in a plain English way to your customers. And then Message Center. This is sort of my bullhorn, okay, to all subscribers. If there's something going on in the industry, if there's a new regulation, if I've updated the site, that's going to flash red, as you can see it flashing right now. You click on that, you're going to see the updates directly from me. Okay. So with that, I think that maybe the best way to demonstrate what the platform does is we're going to start in the document locker. So remember I said, and again, this is these are all fictitious clients that you see there. The document locker is where we put documents that we ultimately want to share with our customers. And to do that, we can create, let's say, a general folder, as I have right here, into which we might put our general documents, maybe a master services agreement, general, that all of our customers are going to be required to view or accept. Maybe we have a non-disclosure agreement or something that is universal that we want all of our customers to see. We'll put that in a general folder. Of course, individual clients have individual needs, right? Maybe you want to send a specific type of document to a specific customer. Maybe you want to send a quote to one of the customers. You're not going to put that in general, so we're going to manage your documents. It allows you, the platform allows you to create unlimited numbers of customer folders. So if we wanted to, for example, in this demo, create a customer folder, and I wanted to call it I have a set of keys here, so we're going to call it keys manufacturing. Okay, we're going to submit that, and now what you'll see is we create alphabetically another folder. That's our hypothetical customer, keys manufacturing. And into this folder, we can create other folders. Maybe we want to create a folder for quotes, right? Maybe we want to create a folder for non-NDAs, right? That this particular customer, that we're going to offer to this customer. The point is, unlimited number of folders can be created within these customer files. So I think that, again, demonstrating what the power of the platform can do, the idea is that we're going to now offer a document to our customer. We want to share it with we're the MSP, we're Just Excellent Managed Services, right? The idea is we're going to offer it to our customer. So what do? Well, we're going to either upload a document and put it in one of, maybe the general folder, maybe a specific. We can add it from the Brad Gross library, which I'll show you in a moment. Or we can move it from this repository folder. This is a folder into which MSPs can just dump lots of different templates, lots of different documents, and then move them, or I should say copy them, from here to any other folder that they want it to appear in. Okay, but so for the purposes of this demo, let's add a new document. We're going to add it from the Brad Gross library. Okay, so this gives me a chance to show off the library. So what you're seeing here are Brad Gross drafted documents, as well as the summaries. All of this is stuff that I have written. And what you will notice in this library is that there are some documents that are inward, meaning they are agreements or policies that an MSP might need to run its operations. And then there are some that are outward facing, something that you might want to offer to your customers, right? For example, incident response plan. This is an inward facing document that we might want to use as an MSP. So let's click on that just for a moment. And when you click on this document, as soon as my internet catches up with me, let me refresh it. There we go. Okay. So when you click on this document, what you will first see is a summary of the document, what it is, okay, what's going on with the document, when you're supposed to use it, and so on. And I think probably because of the resources that I'm using on this SteamYard platform, let me try it again with any other document. Let's read the data processing agreement. Okay, here we go. There it is. Okay. See, the internet isn't always that reliable. So let's take this document. This is a data processing agreement. Here we are describing what the document is, when you should use it, right? I even talk about how 5 states all require contracts similar to these and so on. And this is a template. And this template, if you're a subscriber to the site, like all templates, are available license-free in perpetuity. You want a copy of this data processing agreement? We're going to click right here, download. You'll notice it immediately gets downloaded as a Word file. Use it. It's yours. Well, what if you're not a subscriber 6 months from now or a year or 3 years from now? Doesn't matter. If you've downloaded the document, it's yours to use. And that is just one of the, I think, 16 documents that we have up here. Again, outward facing, some are inward. Written information security plan is obviously inward, but a mutual NDA is outward. Independent contractor agreement, outward facing. So the idea is that we're now going to share a document with our customer. Let's do that. So let's pick this one, the short form MSA. Okay. If we click on that, you will immediately see the document, that the description that I told you about. We're going to describe all the documents, when you should use them. And you'll also notice that in this particular document, it says that this only covers the minimum legal provisions. It doesn't cover realities, and it should be used judiciously and with caution. But let's say we have a customer, and let's say that Keys Manufacturing is our new customer. And they say, I just want a short document. I don't want a 6 or 10 page. I want 2 pages. So you think, well, all right. It's low risk, just give them something short. So let's look at this. Here's our template. Here it is. Okay. We decide that we want to use this template. Let's do that. We're going to add it to our documents. First thing we're going to do is give it a name. Got to give the document a name. So let's give it a name. We're going to call it the Keys Manufacturing Short Form MSA. Next, we're going to give it, let's correct that H there. Now we're going to give it a password. Every document on the platform has to have a password because that's what's going to be used to direct your customers to the correct document. So let's give it a password. We're going to call it the Keys Manufacturing -MSA. That's our password. This description, this is, again, what I wrote to you, the MSP. But these are internal notes. You could put whatever you want here. We could say, met with Keys last Friday. Nice people, but only want short MSA. Whatever. These are notes only internal to the MSP. Okay. So we're going to select a folder. We're going to put it in that Keys Manufacturing, right? That's where we're going to put it. Do we want a digital signature? Now, if this is the type of document that you actually want your customer to accept, physically accept, we're going to check it. If it's a view only, right? Like maybe you just post your MSA and you say, this quote is governed under a document located here. View only. We don't need them to sign it, right? We would keep that unchecked, but we're going to check it just because why not? It's a demonstration. The next thing that I want to show you is the auto renewal function. Auto renewal reminder, I should say, because more and more states are starting to either pass laws or consider passing laws that require companies to remind their customers if a contract is going to auto renew. Okay. New York is one. And yes, it's really a consumer law, but it's starting to be considered by the definition of consumer businesses as well. So what did we do? We're going to build in a set auto renewal reminder. And the way this works, kind of interesting. First thing the site says is, how many days is the term of your document? Right? Maybe it's a year. Okay, so it's 365 days. We'll put that in there. Next, how many days advance notice is required to prevent renewal? Right? Think about your contract. Sometimes it will say, this contract will auto renew unless each party gives the other 30 days notice. Right before the end of the contract. Otherwise, it auto renews. So in this case, we're going to check 30. What we have done, okay, is that we have now told the platform that when this document is accepted by the customer, the acceptance date, The platform immediately calculates when a year from that date is. Then it subtracts 30 days, because that's that auto renewal period after which it automatically renews, right? And it will start sending reminders 30 days out, 15 days out. It will send reminders to both the MSP saying, hey, you have this contract, it's up for renewal, and you have to either, if you don't do anything within the next 30 days, within the next 15 days, it will auto renew. It sends reminders to the customers as well. You have agreed to this document, whatever it might be, from Just Excellent Managed Services. It's set to auto renew on this day. You have, if you want to avoid auto renewal, you have to contact Just Excellent Managed Services by this period of time. So what we're doing is we have built in auto renewal so the MSP doesn't even have to worry about that anymore, and you could stay in compliance. Okay. Next, are we ready? Well, we have a password, we have a name, we have our little metadata notes. We want them to accept it, but we're not ready yet, are we? Because this is still a template. You see, it's probably small on your screen, but if you look, there's still a lot of yellow here. This is a template. What do we do? Or maybe you've uploaded a document and said, I need to change it. There's a spelling error. What do I do? Answer, you click Edit Document. We have a built-in word editor into the platform. So you never actually have to leave the platform to edit your documents. So in this case, let's just say, we're just going to, for our demo, we're just going to, let's say, remove this right here. And we are going to leave that yellow there, but we're going to put a bunch of X's here. Again, just for purposes of our demo, right? Sorry, my mouse skills are not wonderful. We're going to put a bunch of X's here. We're going to put that in the middle. And we're going to hit a bunch of spaces. This is how we've edited our document. Okay, let's say now we've made our changes. Are we set to go? We are. So we're going to hit save. What happens now is the document is now saved into your folders. It is now saved under Keys Manufacturing in a fully editable. Oh, I didn't hit save the document. I hit save the edits. Okay. It is now saved in Keys Manufacturing, short form. Here are those notes that we entered just for us, not for the customer. Here's the fully edited document. Okay. Now let's share it. Let's actually share this document. If we're going to share this document, we click share. What you're going to see is a very cool feature about this site. These are the credentials that you're going to give to your customer to share this document. And I want you to look right here at the end of that URL. See, it says JEMS. When a MSP signs up for the platform, they get to pick the moniker that is attached to MSPTerms.com. So in this case, it was Just Excellent Managed Services. We're not going to put that. That's too long. So we abbreviated it, JEMS. Right? If it was Brad Managed Services of New York, maybe I'll do BMONY. Right? But the idea is the MSP gets to pick that name. And these are the credentials you're going to give to your customer, maybe in an email, maybe in a quote, right? This quote is governed under the terms of our MSA located here. Credentials here. Okay. Now, what happens if a customer actually wants to see it? Right? A customer actually says, I want to see this document, right? What they do is when they go to this particular URL, and I've already preloaded it, they get this page. It is a branded page for the MSP. Again, our MSP in this hypo was Just Excellent Managed Services, right? So it's a branded portal page with the name. See that picture? Remember I had said in the original admin section that you can upload your logo? That's where it's going to appear right here. So your customer has, some security that they're not just going to some site. What's it about? Branded here, and it says, please log in or register for a free account to view the documents from Just Excellent Managed Services. Why? Why are we asking a customer to get a free account and log in? Well, we explain it here in the Learn More, but I'll summarize it. We want to offer the customer document integrity and document immutability. So when a customer registers with the site and it's free, and all we collect from the customer is the name, first name, last name, email, and company name. That's all we collect. When they do that, And then when they log in, and it's MFA, by the way, customer always has MFA, so we know that the email address works. They get a free safe, online safe, into which documents are put. And once they're in there, MSP can't touch them. So as a customer, I'm now Brad at Bradley Gross. I'm going to log in. That's what I'm going to see. Now, as a customer, I have already accepted this document, the short form MSA, done a demo before. Okay. If I want to accept another document, remember let me find it here. What did we give the password for? There it was. KMMSA. Memory is going, right? If we want to see another document from Just Excellent Manufacturers, we're going to put that in, submit it. There it is. Remember, this is the customer view. This document is acceptable, but we haven't accepted it yet. Here's the date that we first view it. And here it is, fully edited. Now, what can the customer do? Well, the customer can download it if they want to, all right? But we're waiting for an acceptance. So there are two ways that the customer can accept it. They could either type their signature, like a digital signature that you see, right? Just a traditional digital signature, or they could sign it, right? If they sign it, give them a box to sign it. So let's say we're going to sign this right now. I'm just using my mouse now. So this is my signature. Okay, I'm going to accept it. When I click accept, which I just did, several things happen. First, a document verification page, again, waiting for the internet to catch up to me. Document verification page is immediately attached to this document. And what does it say? It tells us what we've accepted, the date, the time, the IP address, the method of signature, and there's my signature. Again, I'm the customer. I can view this. I could download it if I want to. Okay. And if I go back into my bank of documents, I see here it is, the short form. I could read it again if I so chose, right? Or I can go back and let me look at that other document that I once accepted here. Okay. Apparently I accepted this document way back when. All right. So the customer now has this in their safe. By the way, an email just went to the customer saying, you just accepted this MSA. And if you have any questions or you want to see it, log into your account. An email also went to the MSP saying, hey, MSP, Bradley Gross just accepted this document. You want to see more? Go into your customer center, which is what we're going to do. Let's go to customer center. We're back to the MSP view, customer center. Remember, I said this is where you see all the things that the customers have done with your documents. Here's Brad at Bradley Gross, right? If you remember, these are all the documents that anyone has accepted. And I can click on any of these to see what I've accepted. Okay. In fact, here because of aliases and sending emails to different places, I actually have it connected to this email as well. But the idea is that if you want to see what I just accepted, here it is. Here's the document. Here's when I accepted it. Here's my signature. Here are my notes that I want. And I can see this for any customer that's accepted any of my documents. I can look at it. Let's say Bud Abbott. I see he's accepted some documents here. Let's see more about him. Here's the document that he accepted. If we click on it, we can see that document verification page with the signature, and there's the document. But here's more interesting, more granular data, okay? Let's say we want to know about this guy, Matthew Klein. See, he's done a lot of accepting and viewing. So let's click here. Here's his name. This is the email he's using. Here are the documents as he's accepted. And if we want to see any of them, again, click on them. There's the internal notes. There's his signature. But what if we want more data? What if we want to know what Matthew Klein has been doing with our documents? Well, if you go into the log section and you look, you can find logs of anything that Matthew Klein has done with the documents, right? So if he's viewed something, if he's accepted something, it's going to show up in the logs. Okay. If we go back to the customer center, I don't know, pick a different one. Let's say we're going to pick up Teddy Roosevelt here. Click him, go to the logs. On the 16th, He viewed this document and he accepted it. So the idea is that through the customer center, not only do we see all the documents that all of our customers are accepting and viewing, but by clicking on any of them, we can see the actual document and logs. This person apparently on the 15th viewed this document. On the 14th, she accepted this, and so on and so forth. So that's the customer center and the document locker that you've seen. Okay. Library you've seen. Last things I guess I want to show you, education. So this is where we are posting videos, and we probably post, again, this is my internet, I guess, failing as we're trying to demonstrate here. But this is these are videos that we post that teach MSPs everything that they need to know. Okay, so it might be about offboarding, it might be about trademarks, it might be about copyright. Oh, I know why this is unavailable, because we just posted this today. So it's still processing. It will be available probably by midnight tonight, if not sooner. That's why it's unavailable. The idea is that these are just educational videos that you can watch, learn about issues that are relevant to MSPs. Service description area, this is where we've done the heavy lifting. If you want to know how to describe a service to your customer, go here, pick a service. We have about 80 or so, and we add all the time. You want to know how to describe a Graphis email security, click it right here. We have taken the data from the manufacturer, from Graphis, put it in a plain English way of understanding it, and now we're offering it to MSPs. So they can take this information, offer it to their customers. You want to explain what Graphis does? Here it is. If you're, I don't know, if you're in here and you want to know what breach, let's see. No, let's do know before. No, there it is. Okay. Know before. This is how we're going to explain know before to our customers. Right. And if we're not sure about how to describe a service, we'll just start typing. Like maybe you want to type in multi-factor authentication right there. It pulls up Duo. Click here. This is what Duo does. So the idea is that we have an educational section, a document management section, okay, and then finally that bullhorn, message center. Obviously, it was flashing red because there's something new, and sure enough, there it is, 4/23 today. New educational video was posted. What every MSP needs to know about copyright. Still processing, but it'll be up shortly. And we talk about what it is. So if I have something to say to everybody, this is where they're going to see it. So that's the platform. The idea is to have a document management, business strategy, and an educational component all wrapped up into one. So I've done all the talking. Ask your questions.
But that's okay, because you had a lot to show us in a relatively short period of time, and I think you did an amazing job at it. So
despite the internet and email aliases and so on, yeah.
You know, internet these days, I don't know. I think there's some room for improvement. Hopefully we're getting fiber out here at some point. But one of the questions I had was, because you kind of mentioned it earlier, if I have an existing agreement out, say I have the same version of an agreement out to several of my clients, and I need to update that agreement across those clients, is there a way to do that? So
here's the deal. First, I have to give you 30 seconds of law, and then I'll tell you how you should do it, okay, as an MSP. 30 seconds of law. One party to a contract cannot unilaterally change the terms of an agreement without the other party's consent. Now, you might say, but wait a minute. Don't credit card companies do that? Don't they just say, we've updated our terms? Doesn't Microsoft do it? We've updated our terms. Thank you. No, they don't. Because they know what I just told you and everyone else, that you can't just update a contract, throw it up there and say, this is binding on you. Okay. And you cannot even say, by the way, here's your option. This is binding on you. Your continued use of the service after this date indicates your acceptance. Thank you. No, you have to give a remedy. You have to give a way out. Otherwise, it's a contract of adherence, right? Otherwise, Microsoft could say anything they want and say, this is what it is. Thank you. And you're locked in for 3 years. They have to give you a way out. So if you look, now that I've told you the law, if you look at any Microsoft email or any email from a legitimate vendor, your bank, let's say, it will never say we just updated our terms. What it will say is we've updated our terms. Your continued use after whatever advance notice date is indicates your acceptance. However, and this is the big however, if you do not agree with this update, you usually have two choices. One, stop using our service. If it's a credit card, stop using our card before that advance date, you're out. Just pay us what you owe us. Microsoft will do the same thing. They sent out an email around September 3rd of last year. I invite your viewers to look for it. It says, we've updated our terms, hyperlink to where it is. And it says, if you don't agree with this, you can terminate your services with us. Now, they know you're not going to, but they have to give you a way out. So MSP's long-winded way of saying, you can't just update an agreement and that's it. What do you need to do? You need to have a second agreement, a second version. Okay, so let's say you have in your general documents a master services agreement. Here it is, right? Our general master services agreement. Okay, and this is, again, just a fictitious, this is not a real MSA. It's just something I put up there for the demonstration. Here are our notes, right? Should be referenced in all quotes and so on. But let's say we have a customer that says, I want to change this for this limitation section. I want to take this part out right here, whatever that says. And you think, okay, I'm willing to do it. What do? What you do is you go back and to your dashboard, you're going to upload a new MSA. Maybe it's the same SA, but revised. Give it another password. And that's the document that you're going to offer to your customers. See, that way, customers that have accepted the first document, it doesn't just disappear into thin air. Right? But customers will now be directed by giving them a different password. They'll be directed to your new MSA. So the idea is you want to keep all those documents up there, not just for posterity, but your customers have accepted those documents. You can't just change it. But if you want to change it, you make it a new document, and that's what you offer to them.
Okay. Fair enough. And probably, an opportune time to do that would be at renewal if you already have an existing agreement with them, I would think.
Excellent touch point. Yes. Excellent touch point.
And then I would imagine you could also use this for storing any type of documentation that is critical to the business relationship. And the one that came to mind to me as you were demoing was like a certificate of insurance. Right? A lot of times your clients will require a certificate of insurance from you. And, that would be a great place to store that, I would think.
100%. Okay, so that's a great example of why we would put that in the repository. We're going to upload these documents that in case any other client needs it, right? In case we want to send it out, it's there. For example, in this repository for demo, we have a waiver for admin access. If a customer wants to, gain access to their network and you want them to sign a waiver, we have a waiver here. We have a business associate agreement, right? Maybe you have a lot of medical customers. You just want to send it to them. So here's a medical associate agreement. Internet is killing me tonight. See, we're fetching your file. But the idea is that with this type of agreement, you're just going to send it out, right? You're going to copy it from this folder into any other folder, right? Again, when the internet catches up with me, I apologize for that. But if we wanted to copy this from the repository, we wanted to put it, let's say, into keys, right? Going to copy it. We're going to give it a new password called the BAA-keys. We're going to copy it in there. And the idea is that now that agreement is now copied to the keys folder. So the answer is, yeah, you want to put documents that kind of are templates, put them in the repository, and then you can copy them as needed into any folder that you want and then share it with your customer. That's the idea. See, there it is. Business associate agreement.
Yeah, to me,
there it is. It finally comes up. See, yeah. So there it is. And here,
the way it always works,
right? We pre-signed it here. We could share it with our customer. Here, we want to share it with a customer. Go here, type in this password, and you'll be able to accept it. Okay. So yes, the answer is yeah. You could share any kind of document, quotes, documents that you just keep sending out over and over. Yeah, absolutely. They can all be in there.
And then that the service descriptions, I would almost see myself building per client, depending on what services they were purchasing from me, almost a little like a run book.
Yep.
Type of document.
That is, and by the way, that's one of the upcoming features that I am implementing. It'll be out in the next month or two. It's sort of a low priority, but it's going to be a helpful one, which is you're going to have check boxes here. So once you check off what services that you happen to be using and you hit create, it will create a spreadsheet where it lists the service, lists the description. You can plug it into any document you want. But again, we've taken all these. In fact, here, CyberFox, we updated it back on January 25th. Here's what CyberFox does. All of these different, here's Huntress Managed EDR. There it is. So yeah, you could build a playbook. That's essentially correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I really like that idea because it really does help the client to understand the services that you are delivering under the MSA. And that information does not belong itself in the MSA.
Agreed. I always recommend to MSPs that they have a separate document, a playbook, if you will. You called it a playbook. I call it a services guide. Same thing, a how-to manual that describes what you do and how you do it. And it lays out the parameters of what your customer should expect and what you expect from your customer for any service.
Right.
So what if you had that? Where do you put it? Answer, you upload it to the platform, and then you share it with your customer, credentializing it. So only the people who you want to see will see it. And then if you had a quote, let's say, this quote is governed under the terms of our MSA located at MSPTerms.com/JEMS, credentials, the password for the MSA. This quote is also governed by our services agreement playbook located at MSPTerms.com/JEMS, and give a password for the guide. Playbook 1, 2, 3. And that way you are incorporating all of these documents into a quote. You're posting them in a non-public, non-indexable, and credentialed way. And of course, if your customers go and view that, you're going to keep track of everything they're doing.
Yep. Well, Brad, we have managed to spend an entire hour talking about MSP terms.
Wow. We have.
Minus our little trip down memory lane.
Okay. That's fine. I enjoyed both. So yeah, so wait, am I back here now? Yes. Okay. We're back. Yep. But yeah, if anyone wants to see a demo, they have questions and so on, they could reach out to us at info@MSPterms.com. A demo, if they want a demo, a personalized demo at MSPterms.com. Be happy to talk to you. And of course, if they want to reach me, Brad Gross, the lawyer, Brad@BradleyGross.com. Be happy to talk to your viewers. Just mention that you saw me on this show. We'll give you a free consult.
And there we have it. Brad Gross, MSP attorney to the MSP stars. So,
thank you.
And probably the best known source of legal advice in our industry. So, Brad, I really do appreciate both what you do for our industry, because you do so much. I mean, obviously, you have clients and they pay you to do these things, but you also provide a lot in terms of your time to just bolster up the industry. And I think that this is just another example of that. I mean, I know you're charging for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
discount if you're a client of the firm, but yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's usually a fraction of what you will see anywhere else, candidly. And any of the documents themselves, each one of those documents would be thousands if you went to an attorney as a subscriber to the platform, license free in perpetuity.
Yeah. So I think it's great. We do need to end it here, though, because it is time for Uncle Marv to start his show. So if you are not done with MSP stuff
vote
for
Brad.
tonight,
vote Brad.
Vote for Brad.
Yes. No, Marv's a great guy, and I recommend everyone listen. He knows what he's talking about. A great podcast, as is yours.
Yes. Well, we love Uncle Marv. That's why we support him here on the show. Mm-hmm. And it's a small community, so we all got to do what we can together to just keep this roller coaster ride going.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
sir.
Thanks. Hope to see you soon, Eric.
Okay. Hey, thanks for watching All Things MSP Live. You can reach me, Eric Anthony, at eric@allthingsmsp.com. If you're a guest, if you're a vendor, if you want to sponsor the show, let me know.